In this episode of Era Cooking, we're going to bake a batch of brownies from 1930. In this recipe, you will see some big differences from how we bake brownies today, and even one major difference from the brownies made just a decade ago in the 1920s. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Take your half cup of sifted cake flour, a bit of salt, and a fourth teaspoon of baking powder, and you put them through a sifter into a bowl. Next, take a bigger bowl and cream 3 tablespoons of shortening, a half sugar until fluffy. This may seem a bit crazy to only have a half cup of sugar for 36 servings, but the major reason why this was the case in 1930 is because the Great Depression had just hit and main food ingredients in the U.S. like sugar and eggs were rationed out. If you look at the brownie recipe just a decade earlier, you'll see that there are more sugar in these recipes. Here in this recipe, you'll see that they added honey as an extra sweetener. Now we are adding 2 tablespoons of corn syrup and also honey. The recipe calls for strained honey. Today in first world countries, we have most things processed for us, for good or for bad. What they would do in 1930 was to take raw honey and heat it up and put it through a strainer to separate the honey from the pollen and the beeswax. Now we are adding 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. There are many ways to melt chocolate, so let's do it the lazy way. In the 1930s, they would do this on stovetop. Microwaves weren't invented until about 17 years later and were not popular until the late 1970s. Now let's add the dry ingredients. Hot water and vanilla and blend well. Let's mix the pecans in and spread it in an 8x8 pan. Bake it in the oven for about 20 minutes. As you may have already noticed, these brownies are going to be very small. If you cut this pan into 36 pieces, you'll each get a serving size about the size of the head of your fork, or those 4 prongs there. This is probably one of the most surprising differences from the 1930s food to today.